Hey, what's up, guys? It's Pete here with MixBetterNow.com, and I just want to say it's really good to be back. I apologize that I haven't had any tutorials up in the past 2 weeks, but I was on vacation in England. I just got back into the studio a few nights ago, and I'm just kind of getting over the jet lag, so I wanted to get some content up for you guys. So while I was away on vacation, I was reading a book about the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Pareto was an economist from the late 1800s who essentially had a law that stated for many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. Put in a little bit different terminology, essentially 80% of your result comes from 20% of your input. If you guys want to go ahead and Google that and dive in a little bit more, by all means, go ahead. The book is killer too. But I was thinking about this and how it applies to mixing. And I think that overall mixing is best done as fast as you can possibly do it. I'm not talking about rushing, but I mean, mixing as quickly as you can, not spending a week or 2 or 3 or even a month on a mix. Listen, I get it. We've all been there. I'm guilty of that as well. We all do it. But I think mixing quickly and efficiently, having deadlines are great, and using the Pareto principle to our advantage is what I really want to drive home here. So I'm going to do a few videos on using the Pareto principle while we mix. I have a session pulled open here in Studio 1.3. Right now I'm remixing a whole record for a client of mine. I have the original mix on reference track A. I'm going to play it. I'm going to solo and toggle between that mix and what I have up right now. All I've done is really put the faders up on all the tracks. We have drums, bass, guitars, I think a couple keys tracks, vocals. Haven't mixed anything yet. All I've done is kind of tweak the lead vocal a little bit, have a little bit of EQ, a little bit of compression, reverb, and delay on it. So I'm going to play that. Like I said, this is kind of just a faders up mix, and we'll compare it with the original mix, and then I will show you the Pareto principle. I want to talk about EQing our MixBus for maximum effect. All right, so here's what it sounds like.
Questions fired out of a cannon. You're hiding behind a smile. I haven't got a chance to answer before the words turn around. It's getting hard to remember now. The more I say, the less I know. You mutter as you walk away. That's what I thought you'd say. You can take my heart to the limit. It'll keep me coming back for more. But you tell me your heart isn't in it.
All right. So in my opinion, I think the best way to maximize the Pareto principle when we mix is to do a lot of MixBus processing, right? To kind of, I don't want to say go nuts, but to take care of as many tasks as we possibly can on the MixBus before we start going into our individual tracks and, pulling up overhead left and EQing and compressing that. Essentially, it would be top-down mixing. So you start with the MixBus, and then you could work backwards and go to your individual buses, like your drum bus, vocal bus, whatever instruments you want to send a group of tracks to. So we can kind of make up the most ground and essentially have the most impact from the MixBus, okay? So I want to talk about EQing. What I have on my MixBus right now, I'm not going to get into all the little nuances of it. I just want to talk about EQ. But what I have set up is in my template. So I always mix into these things, every mix that I do. And I find that I get, at least 50% of my results from what I do on my MixBus. It really is kind of astounding. That's why when I thought of the Pareto principle and the 80-20 rule, I was like, it definitely makes sense, and it can be used as such an amazing tool when it comes time to mix. So what I'm doing on the EQ is basically 3 things. Now, the first thing I'm doing is high passing some of the low end out, some of that subby, rumbly stuff that we can't really hear and we don't need. All that's going to do is it's going to muddy up the mix and it's going to take up headroom, so we get rid of it. Taking out about 25 hertz here on the Trident. Then I'm going and finding some of that boxiness that I want to get rid of. That kind of clears everything up, which is around 500 hertz. And then I'm doing a boost around 8K on a shelf. Boosting on the highs is great as long as the tracks that you have for your session aren't poorly recorded and aren't overtly bright and ice picky. And then I'm just using the Brainworks here for some mid-side filtering. But it doesn't matter what EQ you have or you use. I want to pull open the stock Studio One EQs here. And I want to show you how I would do this if I just threw an EQ on. You can kind of see the curve that I have here, but I'm going to do it on the EQ on the right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to engage the low cut filter and also the high pass, 12 dB per octave slope. And it defaults to 75 Hertz. Now I know that's going to be too much, so I'm going to just bring it all the way back to 20. I'm going to play it and I'm going to start EQing, and then I'm going to just kind of explain what I'm going to do as I go. Obviously in videos down the line, we'll talk about some compression, we'll talk about tape saturation, we'll talk about limiting, certain things like that. But like I said, I just want to focus on EQing for right now because I feel like we can really kind of chisel away that first level, that first layer of the sculpture, kind of looking at this, almost as like a painting or something like that. So, all right. So first thing I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to high pass the bottom. So let's see what that sounds like.
Questions fired out of a cannon. You're hiding behind a smile. I haven't got a chance to answer before my words turned around. It's getting hard to remember now. Questions fired out of a cannon. You're hiding behind a smile. I haven't.
Cool. So I'm kind of liking the way that 45 Hertz sounds. It's kind of tightening up that low end, and we're getting rid of those subby, rumbly lows that we don't need. Next thing I'm going to do is engage the low mids here, and it defaults to 500. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to boost and sweep and try and find that boxy frequency, but what I want you to really pay attention to and listen to is the snare drum and the vocal. The snare is going to get very cardboard sounding, kind of like you're hitting cardboard, and the vocal is going to start to sound nasally.
Questions fired out of a cannon. You're hiding behind a smile. I haven't got a chance to answer before my words turned around. It's getting hard to remember now. The more I say, the less I know. You mutter as you walk away. That's what I thought you said. You can take.
All right, so about 518 Hertz seems to sound good to me on there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and engage the high shelf, and we're going to boost. It defaults to 11K. I already know it's going to probably be a little bit too high, so I'm going to lower it a bit and then find the sweet spot. This is a 6 dB per octave slope.
Questions fired out of a cannon. You're hiding behind a smile. I haven't got a chance to answer before my words turned around. It's getting hard to remember now. The more I say, the less I know. You mutter as you walk away. That's what I thought you said. You can take my heart to the limit. It'll keep me coming back for more.
All right, cool. So that sounded good to me, around 6.7K. So we're almost doing 3 dB of a 7K shelf on the top. Just give it a little bit of shine. I'm going to play it again from the top, and I'm going to bypass it in and out so you could hear what it's doing to the entire mix. Now, just keep in mind that I haven't started mixing any of the individual tracks except for the vocal yet. So keep that in mind. It's starting to sound pretty good. And, when we do these broad strokes from the MixBus, from our buses, we can then work backwards. And then, if we do need to dial a certain track in, we can go back and do that. There's nothing wrong with it. But we are going to get the majority of our final product, if you will, from doing these bigger, broader strokes on our buses, in my opinion. So let's bypass this in and out.
Questions fired out of a cannon. You're hiding behind a smile. I haven't got a chance to answer before my words turned around.
All right, so that's already sounding good to me. I really like where it's going. When I add other things into this, like some compression and some tape saturation, even some limiting, it's going to sculpt the sound even further. So we'll dive into that in another video in the future. But for now, this is just doing a little bit of broad stroke EQing on our MixBus to maximize our mix results, kind of utilizing the Pareto principle. All right, my name is Pete from MixBetterNow.com. If you guys haven't already, please do me a favor. Please hit subscribe, please hit like, and please click on the link in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. When you sign up for the email list, I will send you my free swag bag full of all kinds of free stuff like free mix templates, free drum samples, free multi-track sessions, free reverb, impulse responses, all kinds of cool stuff, so check it out. Appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you have a great day.